That's so hard these days, my friend. You can't get something if you can't give away. In the streets, there's corruption. In private company, there's corruption. Everywhere, there's corruption. Some of us.
Namba katonyeza 0 Bridget FM Utsanga KYEGEGWA.
There's corruption. Something for something.
98.0.
Nothing for nothing. Something for something. Nothing for nothing. Corruption. Corruption. Corruption in the society. Corruption. Corruption. Corruption in the society. You cannot run away from justice.
You already love us on the radio.
We are now 98.0.
I work so hard to make a living every day.
Shenda na mnana katonze 0 Brito Radio echerozi chabantu kanda kaire kado dakika 0:13 zonka za karabasa emo yakariza kahati ntukutangira muntekaniza aza radio eno kandi nko kutusangirwe entukurangira muntekaniza zaito nti ekire kya hati atoja kuba twine abagenyi okoroga mu Inspectorate General of Government kandi ekire kya hati antu kutugambire saha emu ne dakika 20 atwara byamo dakika 10 entumanya oliyo olindirire entekaniza eno kandi tulibo mugisa anta abagenyi etemu yona ekitebe kimbaziro kuba nkika mu studios kayire ekano kenyini nyini kandi nja kuba ninchikwanjuraho atsobola kuba antu batahamo gambira amugenzi wawe anyakuli omujokoni anyakuli haduka asobole kuba nayira haihi ya radio rundo yongezeho iraka area radio ogumizemo nokole emirimo yawe baitu okutu akube enikuliriza habo kuba entanda ya kirokino ya mani mono akande omulingo gwembaganizo ankayito Brito Radio cherres chabantu antutwara omugisa guno kusima abo murundi gwaito gokubanza omuntekaniza aza radio eno okuba antubongisa entity ya government eno ya Inspectorate yes yenyine akani kokutugimanyire IGG akando mbyona yone himbirwe yokimo hakitebe chikuru okuruga Kampala kandi buno buli bumo habuhereza obukwira haihi na abantu okurora ente bitongole nkabine bya government nibinywanisibwa n'abantu ababulikiro kandi ano maiso aho hakabaho okuhanura akandi with time ntumanya bibembezi baitu baja kubana bakitwara habo kudecongestinga the capital city following the creation of other cities that some other agencies of government are yet to be relocated. And probably you never know, as KYEGEGWA, that we are getting a chance to host the first ever government agency, the Inspectorate General of Government. May it be present to have the entire offices located in KYEGEGWA. Of course, ningamba kaire kadu kejidijini wa Brito Radio tulibo muhimbo muno kandi nenyewe chairman atero akaruru wa staff ya Brito puntongiro mugisa okuba ninywanisa mara kagaba genyi bana banyine mu studios niko tusobole okuba antonywana hamu naiwe anyakuli oku antasisire kairo ja kunyikiriza antaswaga mbanza abagenyi abanyine ni manya omuniniro gwa mani no muhimba heru oku okura abanyine mu studios nibaha ati nkwija kuba nimbanjura abajja kubanza beyanjure nibo baha and then tusobole kuba antandiko ironi nja kusaba habwa okurora ente office enu idarihire n'emirimo eri kukora kandi erimu n'ebiragiro bingi orulimi tujja kuba antusobya mu mpora okurora twarubatahama abanyakuri social media platform za radio eno link niyejo mugigabane atusobole kuba antuhanura hamu akairize akahati onyikirize omuzindaro anja gubanza omukora anja kuri hagati abo kweyanjura ibara n'emirimo arukukora then niko obona niko bakujya gukora bati tujya garuka twanjure omutwe ogwakirukino omugenya nyakuri muzindaro nakutangira
Otyo muno mtekano za program kandi chairperson atakuterwa Karuru amabara ni iraka ngabutosa Tom Brighter Mot member parliament wa Chaka Central Kyegegwa district omukozi w'obukoro ebirungi nanye nitwara omukisa guno kutangira bagenzi baitu kandi akurwanira obwinganiza kurango buli muna Uganda asobole kugoboramu hasente zihanga ezikuja kuombeka ihanga lyetu Uganda kutuya mu bunaku no kutwara maiso mu kurakurana otyo muno mutekaza program.
Okay, webale buno mkuru area MP habwa Chaka hagati webale okuba oizire studios mzindaro leka we move on. Of course, as I told you, we are beginning with introduction. We tell our names and probably the titles, and then we move on and we proceed. The next guest on the microphone.
Thank you, Bright. Good evening, our listeners. I'm Azina and Rodney Ahabwe. I'm the head of the regional office in Fort Portal. KYEGEGWA district falls under Fort Portal regional office according to the Inspectorate of Government. We handle 9 districts under Fort Portal regional office. I'm glad to be here today. Thank you.
You're most welcome, Rodden. Thank you for coming to Brito PFM, and thank you for responding to this call to come and be part of this team. Then you're going, I think, that way. Yes, ladies now. Yeah, on the mic. Oh, wow, okay. So, jikirize omulizo mulungi akaire kano onsobole kuba ningaruro mzindaro omgenyo mkuru anyakwebembire timu enu abanze nawe atoyanjure. At this particular moment, allow me, our dear listener, I hand over the microphone to the team leader of this delegation in the studios heading the IGG department, and then she introduces herself, and thereafter we shall get back to the theme and the purpose of our being here. Dr. You are most welcome to Brito FM.
Thank you very much, Bright, for welcoming me to Brito FM. Good evening, listeners. I am indeed happy to be part of this conversation today when we unpack issues to do with fighting corruption in this country. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, Doctor. And that is Dr. Patricia Achane Okiria, who is the Deputy IGG of the Republic of Uganda. Here we have her, here in the studios live of Brito FM, our dear listener. She is the one, and that is the voice. Omuliso Murungi, egyo timu niyo nyine kande yebembirwemu, akugwera, Inspectorate of Government of the Republic of Uganda around omumyuka owa IGG owihange ya Uganda owibara area Dr. Patricia Achane Okiria animaya by the time hararugira hano mujja kuba muhayire yo nempako turaruga hano then tusobola kubantugirira oburo nabwecho onyikirize akaire kano omuzindaro mbanze ngugarure the area MP bigambo ebike abokuba tali mugambe mukuru abwakiro kino abayito onkanya kwizire na abagenyi banu abanze atuheho ekisani kike na ekigendere kitulihana bokuba entanda yona eyine abakuru banu bebembirwemo deputy IGG wikitinisa omuzindaro gwawe omubudakiko obuke
otyo muno mtekanzo program nkaita abana Uganda aroho bugabo butwino butarukumanya kosa kurungi ekitongole kino nikituyambaho kuseruza obuli bwenguzi kano kunywanira kurangu omuna Uganda yasoborata kufunamu mu sente za Uganda ze kusindika muntu wabulikiro obukwinduko kana ka district ya Kyegegwa tutungira omukisa mwingi tuna projects zingi zinyakwizire kuruga mu government. For example ka Dr. Deep inyakwizire mbeka district headquarters yatukora engudo yatukora amasomero yatukora ibintu bingi bunu bobwire nawo kurangu iwe na nyowe tukozire muningoki kura twakwataniza twakora omulimo gw'abandi basemire gukora abo kuba mu rujungu bagamba we are the direct beneficiary of this project so twazizira hano iwe na nyowe no muliza wetu murungi nitwe tukugoboramu ogwetu guligumo gwonka iwe muntu wa cyaro kurubato ukarora orugudo barurimireko kuimuko karora isomero baliyombekereko kuimuko karora materials bakoseze zihikire naye ukora wayamba government manyire bagamba yamba police naye kuyamba ubukubo tachukozire tuyine cyosohora kuyambibwaho kandi enda kuba nomanya nti ngo kumahura abakuru bekitongole kino ne baruga Fort Portal baruga Kampala hatsa hazinu kabwejungira wenyine izire the head nikimanyisaki munawe izire kumanya ko ebintu bakungambira KYEGEGWA byombekerwe tuyina best district headquarters kuruga mu kitongole kya Dr. Deep project ekitungirwe center kuruga mu World Bank mazima ko kikozirwe ko KYEGEGWA kiriyo kuri kwegonza kwaitu kurangu ngwego kikozirwe kandi ekikozirwe kya magezi nikiyamba umuntu wa bulikiro no muntu wa KYEGEGWA nimanya nti obugabo butwina kabebembezi nibo kururangu twakwataniza ni hangali yitu na government yitu kufusha obuli bwenguzi butugarwire nyuma kandi butuletira obunako nosanga omuntu wo munagoboramu abanyine babonabona abanyine basasa baito omuntu wo munasobora kwesemereza wenka kanagwo mainaro kusanga buli muntu wo wenka akyaro niwo mugayiga abandi bali banako so nabo kiri ntekereza nti ekitongole kinu kuro kya kahansi kikire kimo nkemiro maitu nkaba member of parliament ikanutubazao speaker witu akiragamba people's parliament mugende on ground abantu basole kumanya ngo parliament yitu neika muntu wa bulikiro so nyenda kutwara mukisa kusima Dr. Patricia nyenda kusima na timu yone yizire nayo kurangu mazima ko naitu twatungwa mugisa abantu ba KYEGEGWA abantu ba Kyaka Central abantu abakuliza Brito FM kerezi ya abantu kurangu oyizire iwe nyini totumire oyekire no ofisi ya Kabarole na yere hano ya kutwara region ni yona njoleka anti arokwataniza okwikire abantu bakiragama ngo hata bayizire basera abasuma nangwa bayizire kumanya mazima ko nenyine mugoboramu are we proud as people of Kyaka ngo government esindikire sente abantu bazikoseze kurungi araye birungi bukozirwe obwaraba ari mwe bitakozirwe kurungi reka nabitu bibaziye mu bwire bwabyo bakisaze ne katusime government iti NRM government witu ya Yoweri Kaguta Museveni kwa ngo ito abantu ba KYEGEGWA mu myaka 5 mu maiso kwira tutandika kulinde suhuki ninyenda kubagambira amazima arohembaganiza yamani wade mhanda yitu mibi nebicweke ibindi bicyari kubi baitu hakiri tutire urutambo obaire kurona na mbere turugire na mbere ukurona na mbere turukugenda ukatera toche mu maiso no rakimo ngo KYEGEGWA ya nyencha negenda kubayembaganiza wait doctor 5 years back tubaite na radio station in KYEGEGWA there was no radio station here kandi obukwindiko karwa ngo KYEGEGWA berite na masanyarazi 10 years back ahead behind tubaite na masanyarazi but government twerize sente amasanyazi gabaho ebitongole bya Crex biroho biresera masanyarazi tubaite na district headquarters to kosa old fashioned buildings as a kingdom as a resort is there naira but choka because of Dr. Deep ekatuhereza sente bayombeka district headquarters nyina kunira ngo mu Uganda yon nizo zikusingaye kuba korongi so because of good leadership abo ensonga nti singa butabire bwebembezi burungi obweitu na bebembezi bagenzi baitu abandi mazima ko twakwere tukyali enyuma so no tuenda kusimira nti your checks and balances mu rukora nizituyamba ku benefitinga rundi kugoboramu nkaba na Uganda na muno nkaito abantu ba KYEGEGWA nimanya ntawaliza baitu abarungi bali bawulirize kubona kandi bajya kutera amasimu bo bugabe kukaguza no kumanyisa bike bigenda maiso but project zino buzizire naitwe nkabantu babulikiro tufuniremo icyo kururaho project of zizire zebenzi gaba sente mu bitongole mu bitebe binyakweteraniza hamo groups women groups village groups batungire sente nyingi muno babyire emiti bakorere projects Dr. Deep wizire herize projects abantu babulikiro kandi batunga no sente so kubayamba mu sako zabo kubingo bunaku no kutwara maise nkurakurana although corruption nyombo etaburwire bwo mutu ngo aboko muntu asoka mbwanye cyakare kurungi nyencha naga mutu ni kumutera aboko babundi njara ubundi ebintu byosasoka kusobororraho nabyo bisoko babirimu bayite byaburiza baitu abarungi mbajya kubana batugambira kiki ekitusemiriye gukora runo twatanize tuta nkaba na Uganda kurwanisa corruption kandi twarora nti twasobora kugoborramu mu government programs ezekutuletera mu bicu yakabito otyo muno mutekaniza program
okay webale buno owekitinisa Tom Brighter Moti abo kwayo akayire kanwe bali no kutuhereze kisani kya kinyakuriya habwe emirimo yokukolebwa mu kichweka kino no muihanga area Uganda nabwecyo akayire kano nyikirize omuzindaro nsobole kuba aningarura daktari doctor abanze atuhereze ebyafayo rundi kisani kikwatagana nikitongole kino mulizo murungi okiriza akaire kano Dr. Patricia Banzi atuhereze ebikwata hakitongole kino kya IGG abakiro bwingi tukihurire tuhure emirimo yekolebwa then nekitongole kino abandi tukietegereza nkoko kirimo nabwo ekyo nyikirize akaire kano Dr. Patricia to give us a brief background about IGG. What is it and where is it located? Some people hear such a name and abbreviation IGG, and others may not understand actually what IGG means, and then the difference between the Inspectorate of Government and then the Inspector of Government. Start from there, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Bright, and thank you for Honorable for giving us an overview, especially of the Dr. Deep projects and the fact that KYEGEGWA, especially Chaka 2, has benefited a lot from these government programs. The difference between the Inspector General of Government, IGG, and the Inspectorate of Government, Inspector General of Government is an individual. The Inspector General of Government, Honorable Betty Kamuya Turomwe, sent her greetings to the people of KYEGEGWA, together with my colleague, Deputy IGG, Madam Anne Toinomgisha Muhire. The Inspectorate of Government, Bright, is the lead anti-corruption agency in our country.
Wow.
And it has prioritized socio-economic development in the country by taking the fight against corruption to the citizens. Under national objectives of the Constitution, it provides that all measures should be taken to expose, to combat and eradicate corruption and abuse or misuse of power by those holding political positions. And everybody holding a political position in this country holds that position in trust of the people. So as the heads of institutions, we are supposed to build trust and confidence in the people by offering leadership by example. Now you find that the government has put in place several measures to curb corruption and misuse of public property. There are institutions which are clustered as the Interagency Forum in the fight against corruption, and then government has also enacted a number of policy and laws to help in the fight against corruption, like the Anti-Corruption Act, the Inspectorate of Government Act, the Leadership Code Act, and so many other laws, and policies like the Zero Tolerance Corruption Policy, the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. Now we have the whistleblower protection regulations, and we have the lifestyle audit guidelines, and so on. All these are put in place to enhance the fight against corruption. So as institutions involved in the fight against corruption, especially the Inspectorate of Government, which is the lead, we are a constitutional body established and operationalized by the Inspectorate of Government Act, and as a lead and corruption agency, we have a mandate to eliminate and foster the elimination of corruption. How do we do this? There are several approaches we have in place in fighting corruption. We implement the anti-corruption function. Here you find that the Inspectorate of Government conducts investigations of cases of corruption in ministries, departments, and agencies and local government. And as a result of our investigations, the offender or suspect may be arrested, may be prosecuted in courts of law, disciplinary action may be recommended to the action officers, and funds lost or embezzled are also recovered. So assets may be confiscated where investigations reveal that these assets were acquired through corrupt means or illicitly. Then we have the ombudsman function. Within the ombudsman function, here the IG mediates between the citizens and the MDAs, the ministries, departments, and agencies, and local government in the promotion of good governance. And through this ombudsman function, the IG has created a medium of dialogue between different stakeholders, and here we get to discuss key public policies which advance equal and fair treatment or equal and fair delivery of services to the public, channel citizens' voice, and also hold government accountable to its citizens. The IG has also, under the ombudsman function, undertaken systemic interventions in ministries, departments, and agencies to take necessary measures for detection and prevention of corruption. And thirdly, we have got the enforcement of the Leadership Code of Conduct. Here, you find that the Leadership Code Act specifically provides for a minimum standard of behavior of leaders, and it requires all specified leaders to declare their incomes, their assets and liabilities to the Inspectorate of Government. Now, the Leadership Code prohibits conduct which is likely to compromise the honesty, impartiality, and integrity of leaders, or conduct that leads to corruption in public offices, in public affairs. It imposes certain penalties for leaders who breach this code. And then fourthly, we have got the prevention. Here we have the education, the advocacy, and the aim of this responsibility is to create partnership and strategic alliances, especially with various sections of the public, in order to achieve the mandate of preventing corruption, abuse of office, and administrative justice. We do carry out awareness campaigns, we train, we equip the people. You've heard us talking about the strategy, which is preventive and taking the fight against corruption to the people. Here we empower the public with information and knowledge so as to enable them demand for accountability from an informed perspective, because they're already equipped with knowledge.
Please.
We do implement the transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption component in the government projects. And this is part of what Honorable Tom Bright was talking about. Here we have a special directorate of project risks and monitoring, which basically does quick detection and quick fixing mechanisms. Here we have got what they call the transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption strategy. It is an approach we have taken in fulfillment of our constitutional mandate as the Inspectorate of Government to monitor government programs through the Project Risk and Monitoring Control Directorate. But perhaps I will pause here so that we ask Rodney, who is the Regional Inspectorate Officer, to be able to unpack TAAC and its implications in his districts here.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor. Before we can go to Roden, you've talked of the key role of IGG in the fight against corruption and ensuring that government projects are done very well without illicit practices. May we get a brief on that, how far you've gone through this to ensure that government projects, probably when you talk of government projects, maybe Rodin shall do that one. Some people think that the IGG is only responsible for the government programs that are at the center, mainly the government programs from the central government. Probably that's why they think the IGG stops. May you throw some light on the extent to which your office is responsible to all the government projects, including some the Honorable MP has talked about?
Thank you very much, moderator. You find that our office within the Directorate of Monitoring, Project Risk and Monitoring and Control Directorate does look at the overall projects of government, not only Dr. Deep. We also look at Myoga, PDM, and other projects of government. Dr. Deep, first of all, is a $2 million USD World Bank funded project, which is a special project focusing on refugee hosting districts or communities to assist these communities to cope with the pressure of population, of hosting refugees, and the challenges that come with the pressure. Under the Dr. Deep, there are projects like infrastructure in schools, roads, we have environment, and then under environment there is a tree planting, and then we have livelihood, where you look at agricultural and farm equipment and projects. And our role in the inspectorate basically is to ensure that these projects maintain the standard of integrity with transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption. Now, transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption is one of the approaches the Inspectorate of Government has taken on in the fight against corruption. One of the innovative approaches we have adopted is the use of this strategy. It is a framework comprising of an integrated intervention during a project implementation and also public service delivery to preempt the prevent, identify, monitor, and also mitigate the corruption-related risks in the districts.
Okay.
It is also having a social accountability design by aiming to provide citizens with a transparent approach. We empower them to be able to participate, especially in taking key decisions that affect them as citizens, and also to hold the implementers accountable.
Okay.
Now, when you look at TAAC again, it began in 2009. It's a World Bank funded project. There was also NUSAF. NUSAF was in phase 2. NUSAF introduced this TAAC component in response to the mismanagement and embezzlement of its first phase. Now, why the Inspectorate of Government has come in handy here? Because we said we are the lead anti-corruption agency, and our mandate is to foster strict adherence to the rule of law. And in doing that, we look at the responsibility of leaders. I said in the Constitution, leaders are accountable to the people.
Please.
And therefore, that accountability is fostered within this strategy of TAAC. The
Okay.
aim of TAAC as a sub-component is to boost transparency and accountability, using the project as an entry point to develop better systems for communities, for local authorities, and others mandated to promote improved governance in development. I think I can stop there.
Okay,
so
thank
that-
you so much, Doctor, for that elaborative presentation. Omulizo mulunge, Dr. Patricia Deputy IGG yabanageza kutoleka endugiro ya IGG nkokwe kurugira mu kiragire kikuru ekihanga kandi akasonsoleka akabibiri abiri na isatu mbere kutekaho omuntu hamuna office na mbere omuntu yakugambira kwebembera niwe omukyara Betty Namisango Olive tuli homwe niwe akwebembera kandi nabakumugwera na nambere Dr. Patricia Ali kandi yatoleka ente omulimo omukuru ogwa IGG nike kitongole kikwebembera mu mukurwanisa obuli bwenguzi nicho kikwebembera mu haraba ali ebitongole ebindi ebikurwanisa obuli bwenguzi nemikore eya ebitongole bya government n'obuherezo bwa government ike kya IGG nicho kikwebembera mu kandi nkijunanizibwa n'okurora abebembezi bayebembera nibasigikira hampatane n'endagano ey'abantu eyibabahayire kandi yatoleka ente ebaliyo nibakora omulimo gwo kurwanisa obuli bwenguzi na mbera abakuli mu offices za government kakuba bakozesa kubi ebikwato bya government rundi sente za government kakuba kabatanda bakakwatibwa kandi bakajunwanizibwa bakasingisibwa omusango ngumba sobora okuba nibagara ebikwato ebyo bya government bakubakozese kubi rundi ebintu bakubakozeseze ebya government bakakora ebyabo nk'abantu nte kitongole kino kya IGG nikisobora kubibasasuza kikabibayihaho kikababyaka nuko bikagaruka yukora omulimo ogwa government akandi yayoleka ente akasomekano abayine engeri bakujunanizibwa ha government projects na mbere hari emyoga yatoleka ante emyoga project enu ya World Bank enyakuri mu sente eza dola ya Amerika ezikuingana milioni ibiri kandi inzija omuli abantu abayugana nto barazikosa kubi nibajunanizibwa okuba nibazirorera na projects ezindi yayoleka anti Dr. Deep eyitumanyira hano nkomunuka enyakuriyo nekole minimum italiye munemo yayoleka Dr. Patricia ngu nekora Dr. Deep omukuombeka ebyombeko nko mu masomero okukora engude then nokorara abantu entasya yabo yayimuka eta nebyobuhanga nebitwetoroyire nko kubyara emiti kandi yayoleka inti bayine kasumikanu nko bakwatagaine na World Bank okuraba omuntekaniza eya kubakweta transparency, accountability and anti-corruption okurora inti sente zone zikuraba muntekaniza ya World Bank na Dr. Deep mbere eri zakora kurungi kandi busaho na muntu nomo ayasobora kuba naziteka omunsaho eye rundi ukora mu ebintu ebye nko omuntu nabwe cyakarekano onyikirize nsobole kuba ningara omuzindaro omba roden asobole kuba kandi we ni wakujunanizibwa na ofisi enu eya IGG habwa a foot patrol na mbere naito tuli mu region yaitu enu asobole kuba natwoleke kisani kino ofisi eyalimu enyakutuli hayi hano tutakairukire mwa Daktari Patricia anyakuli Kampala owe abantu bagireyo batakande yambireta okurora into buhereza bwasemera kurungi omunuka omukuru omuzindaro gwawo.
Thank you very much, Bright. Just to supplement what Dr. said, we implement TAAC in a number of government programs. This includes Dr. Deep. All of us have heard or know about Dr. Deep. Then we have the Youth Livelihood Program, YLP. Then the Regional Pastoralist Livelihood Resilience Project. Then the District Discretionary Equalization Grant, DDEG, and USMID, Urban Support to Municipal Infrastructure Development. So we don't implement TAAC only under Dr. Deep, but we have other programs where we implement the TAAC component. And the TAAC component has actually improved accountability to all these projects. Then we intend, and the IG is mainstreaming TAAC in all ministry departments, agencies, and local governments, plans, projects, and programs in the next 5 years and beyond. Currently, actually, we carry out like inspections in all government projects. Earlier on, we were only doing these inspections in Dr. Deep projects or World Bank funded projects, but currently we've enrolled them to even Government of Uganda projects.
Wow, that's great.
And in the last, from July 2022 to date, in KYEGEGWA alone, we've actually inspected 91 sub-projects under Dr. Deep.
Please.
Then, of course, we have 4 strategic interventions that we use as a sort of government while implementing the TAAC component. We carry out sensitization and awareness, and this is one of them actually. This program that we're doing currently, right now, we are carrying out that sensitization to the public, not about what they're supposed to do as our citizens out there. Then we carry out a lot of citizen engagement. We proactively engage citizens to promote accountability and transparency. Then monitoring and inspection. We carry out a lot of monitoring and inspections, as I had said.
Please.
And from the monitoring and inspections, we usually generate complaints, which are later investigated in case we find a fraud while carrying out the investigations. Then enforcement. We carry out enforcement during during the inspections. Now, enforcements arise when we find that there are issues to do with the projects that we've inspected. If we find there's a problem with a project, as Doctor said, we carry out investigations, we prosecute, and also recover money for some of these projects. Though there are very few cases that progress to prosecution level, because under the TAAC component, we prefer alternative dispute resolution as a mechanism for solving most of these issues. And we usually handle them as quickly as possible. So prevention is key under the TAAC component. Instead of doing a post-mortem of full investigations, we usually prefer prevention or handling an issue prior before it actually escalates. Because this is why you find that we like, before payments are made, we stop those payments. Instead of payments being made, then we come and carry out an investigation after the payments have been made. So we save resources in that way. Then we partner with a number of civil society organizations. In KYEGEGWA, we are partnering with Rwenzori Anti-Corruption Coalition.
Wow.
They are doing a very, very good job, I must say. And with that, now, in addition to that, we also have community monitoring groups. Rwenzori Anti-Corruption Coalition actually trains these community monitoring groups. And in the last 2-3 years, they have trained over 400 community monitoring groups.
Wow.
And who are these community monitoring groups? These are volunteers in our villages who actually monitor the sub-projects that are being done under Dr. Deep. They're doing a very good job.
That's great.
If there are grievances at the village level or at where the sub-projects are, they try as much as possible to handle these grievances. If they cannot handle the grievances, that's when they bring the grievances to the IG.
Okay.
Or if there are fraud elements involved, they are required to escalate these grievances to the IG to handle. So they're doing a very, very good job.
Please.
We have key achievements through TAAC. We've achieved a lot through TAAC. We've seen the improved project quality. When it gets to infrastructure under Dr. Deep, we can all confirm that we've not seen government projects as good as Dr. Deep sub-projects.
Wow, great.
Because we are involved from the start of these sub-projects. We have community monitoring groups as part of these projects. So what usually happens, we send teams during the construction of these projects. We send teams even after the projects have been completed. So we monitor the projects from their word go, and we've seen very, very good quality of the projects that are being done. Then, under TAAC component, we've seen increased whistleblowing, because our citizens now know where to report what under the TAAC component. If there's a problem, because we've actually empowered them, they're able to report as quickly as possible, and we're able to handle whatever grievances that they raise. And of course, getting back to increased whistleblowing, as the IG, currently we give 5% of the proceeds that are recovered when you report a case to the Inspectorate of Government. As you're aware, Monitor Publications actually was one of our first beneficiaries. They got their 5%. They're supposed to get 420 million.
Wow. As whistleblowers.
Oh. So we encourage all of you out there.
How
please.
we so Brito can benefit from that.
Exactly. Exactly. Then, of course, we've seen increased community interactions with district officials. We engage a lot with district officials under TAAC, a lot. So you will find that when we're handling most of these grievances, we have discussions, talks with these district officials.
Please.
Then, of course, with the TAAC, what have we seen? Who is the biggest beneficiary with TAAC when projects are done rightly? We've seen that there's improved well-being of our citizens down there in the villages. Our citizens are enjoying the facilities that have been put up, the schools. Our citizens are enjoying the hospitals that have been built by Dr. Deep. I think those are the benefits that we've so far registered from TAAC, and I think we can move on to probably our key challenges. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Rodden, for that presentation. Before we can proceed, you've talked about how effective TAAC has been, because it has got a component of community involvement and also a civil society organization. Is it in order to have also this practice also spread not only to Dr. Deep projects but also to the entire projects of the government, all it is the same way?
Thank you, Bright, once again. Now, after registering success under Dr. Deep and myself, under the World Bank projects, now we are enrolling it to all government projects. Okay. So we are putting up our internal guides as an institution that will help us while implementing it under all government projects, because we all appreciate its success, the success it has brought under the World Bank projects. Already in Fort Portal Regional Office, we are inspecting government projects.
Is it within the law?
It is. It is catered for under the law. It is.
Then it is
long. So all government projects will be inspected going forward.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. Obuliriza obulungi Rodden yabanageza kuba natwongeraho hali bya Dr. Patricia byabayire ayolekere ntekasomekano bayine enkora ebakweta TAAC na mbere abantu kinemu oko mukakoma abantu abakurolera project ya Dr. Deep kuruga habyaro byanyoko na mbere project ziri mbere isomero rukuombekebwa haro hakatebe akabataka orugudo mbere rukuraba orwa Dr. Deep no sanga nempatane nehebwa abantu abataka abo nabo bayinohoki omukondo kurolera bakamanya kandi abanatole kanti enkora enu ebayambire kurora ne batunga omulimo ogurungi muno nti yabanayoleka hanaherezo bwa kaiso kandi yagamba ngo kwihana babaho nkihange lya Uganda nekitongole kino ekya IGG bakaba batakaroraga project ya government yibakozire yayihayo mulimo guri gwenyini nka project enyakuri hansi ya Dr. Deep ngo kinu yakiteka hali enkora enu ya TAAC na mbere inyo abantu ababulikiro muyambireho sana bwecho yagamba anti baliyo kaire kanu nibongera okutwara no kuhinguza omulimo guno ogwa TAAC gugende guleke kurorera projects eza Dr. Deep zonka ezikozire kurungi baitu gugende no muntekanize zinde za government nambere hali emyoga PDM nambere hali engude zine za yunura abyona bikoreki bigendeyo akayire kanu akenyine nyine then yayoleka ante akasumi kanu ntikiyambireho nti abantu mutungire kugobora mu buherezo bwa government kurungi buri kuba irwaro lyombekero kurungi ne mugenda mutakwera likira ngulira abatera buri kuba rugudo namusangira kimwenjura no bwe kugwa no bwe kugwa enjura angu no sangira kimongo hakiri engude ezirhansi ya Dr. Deep habo kuzirolera kurungi nguzo kale kaleho wadenenjura no buziraba azigwire mono so yasima abantu anti mwebara abanyakuri habutebe bunu okwataniza na office ya region enyakuri for porto ya IGG mbero mkuru rode na akora hanu kandi yasima nekitongole ekyabantu ekyanyakiye abantu babulikiro ekya Rwenzori Anti-Corruption Coalition ekiri kozire mu KYEGEGWA hano mulimo gwa amani ngo kandi kyayambaho ngo nemisango enu eyo buli bwenguzi no kozisa kubi center za government nemirimo ya government ngo tekire harulengo orukugamba ngo basiba abantu abakwa abandi mujagamba hato baramba kora kabatakasibaga ngubo nibakozisa muno mulingo ogwo kutangira kwikara kugamba kabalindire ngo bakutega akanyobwa obanze ozikozisa kubiga center za government orugudo rukore kubiga dibengalye then uko ngo bajye bakukwate nangwa ngo nibakitangira kara nibasanga na sente zibuko bayimba kusasura zitakasaswirwe nuko bakoreki abazitangire sakaire kanu ariyo natutwara omukichweka echa obulemezi obunyakubayireho omirimo eno the challenges is it and I think who is taking us through doctor. Okay, doctor is going to take us through the challenges encountered in this project as we move on. Doctor, take on.
Thank you very much, Bright. But perhaps before I touch on the challenges, I need to mention the reason why we are here.
Please.
We are here to emphasize on the Dr. Deep project, and specifically, we have a program tomorrow where we're having constructive dialogue and engagement with the district local government on feedback by our Inspectorate of Government concerning the performance of Dr. Deep projects here in KYEGEGWA, in Chaka specifically.
Okay.
We're here to monitor and inspect these projects through the TAAC strategy, but also I would like to emphasize that we are basically doing the monitoring and intervention, especially by our office. We have inspected so far 91 projects out of 148 Dr. Deep sub-projects, and we have seen the role of the citizen coming out quite clearly in the fight against corruption. You have asked me to talk about...
Before that, Doctor, are those 91 projects in this region or the entire country?
In the entire country.
Okay, great.
Yes. In
KYEGEGWA. They are in
yes.
KYEGEGWA.
KYEGEGWA, yes. Thank you very much, Ruben, for that clarity. We have seen the role of the citizen coming out quite handy in the fight against corruption. And I would like to thank specifically Honorable Tom Bright Amoti for being on ground and his presence with the people all the time, because we have seen the role of the citizen coming out vividly. Citizens are able to report cases of corruption where there is a problem, where there is a red flag, and we are able to take on those, and Rodney has examples of the cases reported, which is shared already. We have seen whistleblowing, which he hinted on, by the citizens, and this is specifically protected by the Whistleblower Protection Act. The spirit of that law is to encourage the ordinary citizen to come out and report cases of impropriety or of corruption to the Inspectorate of Government. Then we, in monitoring government projects, we do follow all projects and ensure that works are done according to plans. So they help us to do quick detection so that we can do quick fixing. We are encouraging the citizens to reject bribes, to refuse to pay bribes or to be compromised in carrying out their responsibilities, and to hate and shun corruption, to stop magnifying or praising the corrupt people by calling them rich, because these are your own monies that you use to put in, that they use to put in some of the developments they have. We encourage people to stand as witnesses in courts, in cases of prosecution, and even government institutions and other sectors should improve their information sharing strategy. The new regime In the Inspectorate of Government, we intend to continue chasing, investigating, prosecuting, jailing the corrupt, and also recovering the loot through our asset recovery processes. But more importantly, we need to focus more on the prevention strategy. That is why we need to engage with the people more through networking, through awareness creation, through constructive dialogue and roundtable discussions. Key challenges. While the TAAC strategy initiative has marked significant accomplishment in the realm of good governance and accountability, we have also had some bit of challenges that are making the implementation quite complex. For instance, sometimes we're having limited coverage because we cannot cover the entire country. We have resource constraints, limited funding. We expect to do a lot more, so many projects, but because of limited funding, there are not many projects that can be kicked off. Then we have challenges with the community monitoring groups identification. We rely heavily on the civil society, on partnerships and strategic alliances with the civil society, and these are the people who help us to train the community monitoring groups. But the community monitoring groups like Rodney has explained, have played a very significant part because they're the people who identify the red flags, they're the people who monitor, who are on the ground, who can see the actual projects that are going on, they're the people who can identify where the challenges are. Then there are people who do not have a good understanding of our work, meaning that even we as the Inspectorate of Government, we need to do a lot more dissemination. Dissemination of our information about how we do our work, dissemination about the anti-corruption laws and strategies and policies, and then above all, we want to roll out TAAC to all government ministries, departments, and agencies, because each department and agency of government can have its own transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption strategy internally, because they know where the challenges are, they know where the red gaps, where the red flags are, and they can concentrate on those areas and be able to fight corruption by coming up with their own internal strategies and mechanisms. There are several lessons we learned from this TAAC strategy. For instance, this initiative has helped us to navigate through lots of achievements in the fight against corruption, and also we have derived certain insightful lessons which has helped us to propel ourselves with new innovative mechanisms of dealing with the problem of corruption. It was from this strategy that we came up with a preventive approach to fighting corruption and involving the citizens more to own the war against corruption. We now have the community monitoring, which is the main channel through which TAAC has been effective. Community members have been engaged in ensuring that they were receiving quality product output,